Alright guys, so in this video I played Assassin's Creed Revelations in 2022, the final game in the Ezio collection and the final time we see the iconic character of Ezio Auditore. Now I try not to look at too much before I play the game because that could kind of change my opinion on the game, but I heard a lot of different things about it and it's definitely the least talked about one in the Ezio collection. Obviously that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, I really enjoyed it. There's definitely a lot of good moments in this game. But a lot of people say that Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood are better than this. But I think it was a really good, way to just kind of end the Ezio series. And it had one of the best endings out of all of the series. Of course, I've only played 3, but it was incredible. The ending was definitely the best part of the game to me. But they did do it really, really well, and it was just a great way to end it. And that's the thing, if you haven't really played the other two games, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, it kind of is an okay game, but it doesn't really mean much. It's kind of meaningless if you haven't played the other two. And I feel like this one was, like the early start and the middle kind of area, like the lead up to the end, was kind of dragged on, I would say. I wouldn't say it's boring, but it is a bit of a drag. This doesn't mean it's a bad game, but out of the whole Ezio collection, I'd say it was my least enjoyable one, but that does not mean it's bad. It's just if I had to, put them on a scale, they kind of just go in order of when they were released, so the older one being the better one. That's similar in a lot of people. I was going to say spoiler, but it is also on the front cover. You do meet Altair, and of course, I feel like with the ending, although it was still incredible, like just the whole look of the ending as well. I mean the whole look of the game, which I'll talk about more later on. Obviously that being a big, factor of it being set in a completely different area. But I feel like because I haven't played 1, because it's not available on PS4, that's the only one I can't play. I did see like a brief summary, not really the same. But I kind of got the gist of it, and it, you kind of have to. You don't have to, but it didn't really have as much of an impact because I didn't play 1, but it was still a great game. And I still got the ending. And definitely the main focus of this game was the story. And now if we're going to talk about the gameplay of the game, it is still good, but I feel like compared to Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2, there wasn't really much of a crazy improvement. Like they added some cool little like the hook blade and how you can use that in the combat. It's just really good and satisfying to use. But apart from that, the gameplay, there wasn't any drastic improvements. Of course, maybe smoothened up a bit, but apart from that, it wasn't really that crazy. And I feel like the main focus of the game was the story. That's what they really tried to work on, because it is going to be the closure of the Ezio collection. That's kind of what makes it an amazing game, because it's so iconic. It just ends off the whole series, and they had to do it well, and they did do it well. I keep saying, but the ending is something else. And then the same with the actual look of the game. Of course, it was around 3 years after Assassin's Creed 2, so there is going to be some improvements in the graphics. It still looks great, but I just feel like it's not as vibrant and colourful. Obviously there is some streets in like the early start of the game which looked great. It was just like the little details of like the shops on the side of streets with like different spices in it. It all looked great, and especially like the boats and everything. And it is a great world. It's of course set in Constantinople, different to Italy and Rome. But I feel like I just enjoyed Rome more. Like I feel like it was just a lot better to play in and just well designed. But this is still great. I think I preferred Rome. But like I keep saying, I feel like the main focus was the story and not really the gameplay and the look of the game. Either way, that still looked great. But just the whole series of the Ezio collection, of just the development of Ezio's character and how much he changes. And you can clearly just see like the development. And it was just a great way to end it. Of course, he's a lot more mature now. He's changed a lot. He's a lot older, around 52 at the end of the game, compared to that 17-year-old Italian boy in Assassin's Creed 2. But just a character that iconic, it is going to be on a high pedestal for the Assassin's Creed games, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like me and a lot of other people keep saying, is that they do the character development really well, especially in Ezio. Some other characters later on, I'm not sure because I haven't played them, but I've seen Ezio is everyone's favourite character. Of course it might be different, but that is definitely, he's the most iconic one, to be honest. And just the way we've literally seen, if you've played the whole series, him grow up, and now he's just this old grey-haired man. Like it's kind of emotional, to be honest, because we've literally seen it all. And I feel like that's why it's such a good game, as it is literally the end. And the thing is, it's only 12 and a half hours long in Revelation, so it was quite a quick game. But I feel like it was good to be that. Like I didn't really want it to be any longer. Like I said at the start, it wasn't really anything drastically changing in the gameplay, so just to have this, short game to just sum it all up, it was literally perfect to have. But I knew that it wasn't really going to be anything crazy in terms of gameplay, because it was just going to be like this quick game just to kind of just end it all and not make this whole new change to the game or something. Of course, not only Ezio's character, but of course Altair's and him having a closure of his story as well. They really did portray his character of the founder of the assassins. They really did portray it well. Of course, like I keep saying, that was a really strong point in the series of the character development. They did it really well. And we even know, of course, a spoiler, I'll just put that on the screen, but of course he did kill their mentor. So that was quite a big moment in the game, and he kind of rebuilds it. And even after that, he's just such a cool character, and he still, goes past that. And then I guess we can talk about the actual real life story in the game, outside of the simulation, which doesn't really have as big as an effect, even in 2 and Brotherhood. Of course, Brotherhood was like the main game for that. You did a lot more, it was a lot more involved and relevant. This one, it wasn't really that much, still quite good, and I think the main reasoning for that is that we didn't really need it. I'm not really the biggest fan of the modern day kind of gameplay. Like, it is fun and it was still enjoyable, but I don't really want too much, and I feel like the main focus, like I said, was the closure of Ezio's character. They really wanted to show that. So to say it, if you've played Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, and of course 1 will give you more backstory, but I wouldn't really say it's fully needed. Like I said, I didn't even play it apart from a brief summary, and the Ezio collection was one of the best experiences I've ever had playing a video game story, and it still had a big impact. So it's definitely needed after playing the other 2 games, and I would say it's definitely worth buying in 2022. However, if you only want to get this game and no others, then it's probably certain that you won't really enjoy it as much. And I wouldn't really recommend it as ones to start off with, but as well as the gameplay not being as well developed or immersive, it's still good, but that, like I said, it wasn't really the main focus. Although another incredible aspect of the game that was really noticeable was the parkour. It was really fun and had a lot of changes compared to 2 and Brotherhood, and I say it's my favourite parkour out of all the games in the Ezio series. Of course, the main feature of the hook blade, as Ezio is obviously a lot older and has a lot less reach. The hook blade really adds a lot and makes it feel a lot more interactive, as you can move a lot further upwards or forwards. And then of course the zip lines, which were a great feature for faster mobility and getting around the rooftops in the world. A remarkable game for the franchise, and it does feel quite emotional and sad that it's now the end of the Ezio story, but of course I'll be moving on to Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster actually, so it'll look even better, and I've heard a lot of different things about the game, so I'm excited for that one. There'll once again be a video on me playing that in 2022. If you enjoyed this one, or you are enjoying these Assassin's Creed videos, then I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, and like I said, you can subscribe to then see my other ones with also my G4 content. I hope you found the video informative or entertaining, or both. And that was me playing Assassin's Creed Revelations in 2022. Bye bye.